Welcome to another episode of the Para Cave podcast. And now over to your host, Troy Warner, broadcasting live from the world-famous Para Cave.
And yes, hello and welcome back to another episode of the Para Cave podcast. It is the tipping podcast for round number 5 of the NRL, proudly brought to you by Assure Strata Reports. Check them out on Instagram, and also Buddy Old Man Masters Boxer. Give him a follow on Facebook as well. They are the proud sponsors of the Para Cave podcast tipping competition. Now, after 4 rounds, we have the same leader of the competition, Jaden Zaid, but I would like to congratulate 3 people for the top tippers of the week. Now, you would have seen that on the Instagram post that I did yesterday on Mondays, that it will come out. But Robbo Eel got 5, and also Andrew Davis got 5 as well. But my little co-host, Ella, you also got 5. Hello, how are you going?
Good.
You got 5
And I promise
week.
I'm going to be here for the whole podcast this time.
Okay, now that's great. But well done on getting 5 last week.
Yes, and now in the tipping podcast, in the tipping competition, I am placed in the 47th spot.
That's right. You are well ahead of me, about 27 spots, I think.
Because before you
about
were
17.
in front of me.
I'm in 64th, so my maths isn't that good. So anyway, I'm in 64th.
Just use a calculator.
Yeah, I know. But I'm in 64th, and you are in 47th. So well done on that one. Can you back it up this week and get 5 again or even more? The average
I'm going to get 8 out of 8 or however many there is.
Well, there's 8 games, so good luck with that one. The average, I think, last week was about 2 that most people got. But anyway, let's kick it off. We've got Thursday night action at GIO Stadium in Canberra. Bit of Thursday night action. Cronulla going down to Canberra to take on the Raiders at 8 p.m. Now, there's a few changes there for Canberra. Morgan Smithies returns after concussion protocols. He returns to the bench. Josh Papali'i goes to the starting side. Trey Mooney drops to the reserves. For the Sharks, Marwin Hiroti comes into the centres in place of Kale Iro. He's done a hamstring, so he'll be out for a few weeks. Tom Hazelton returns from a back injury on the bench. Sifa Talakai will miss the game after entering concussion protocols. Now, the Raiders and Sharks. Very interesting sort of rivals. Last year, the Sharks had a big win, 40 points to 0 down in Canberra. And also got the win at Shark Park, 36 points to 22. The form guide of these two sides, well, you'd have to say that the Sharks are the form side out of these two, despite both of these sides having last start losses. The Raiders going down to the Cowboys 30 points to 20, and before that they went down to the Sea Eagles 40 points to 12. Last week the Sharks went down to the Bulldogs 20 points to 6, but previous to that having a couple of wins against the Rabbitohs and the Cowboys. So look, these two sides, they are playing some reasonably good football. The Raiders are in 12th spot. The Sharks are in 10th. I think this could be one of those games that Canberra would probably hope to win, being at home. The Sharks travelling, though. I'm not too sure how good they will go down there, but look, the game I remember of them winning down there was the prelim final, I think it was, of 2016, the year that the Sharks went on to win the competition. But anyway, let's go to the tips. And who are you going to tip in this one, Ella?
I'm going for the Sharks.
You're going for the Sharks in this one. Okay,
yeah.
Interesting.
I'm still really happy that I got 5 out of 8.
Yes. Well,
I think that's my highest score so far.
I think it is too, but I'm going to go the home side in this one, Canberra. I'm going to go Canberra in this
Okay.
one, the home side. I just think that the home ground advantage.
I can see your tips, and we have mostly the same here.
Well, yes, we'll run through those ones shortly. But I just think Canberra at home just might have the home ground advantage. Speaking of home grounds, the first game on Friday night sees the Panthers take on the Cowboys at their new home ground for a couple of seasons, CommBank Stadium. Now, the Panthers, very interesting results for the Panthers. They have lost the last 3 in a row. Who would have thought that?
That's not very good.
No, who would have thought that the defending premiers would have lost the last 3 in a row? Mind you, they have had some injuries out of the last 3 games. Dylan Edwards is out for a few weeks. Nathan Cleary sat out last week's game against the Rabbitohs due to concussion protocols. So they are a couple of big losses for them. But they have lost Brian To'o to a hamstring injury. And also Scott Sorensen is absent with concussion. So Isaiah Papali'i moves to the back row. Lindsay Smith comes into the starting side at prop, and Matt Eisenhuth, the ever reliable Matt Eisenhuth, is the new face on the bench. Good news for you Cowboys fans. The Cowboys have gone with the same 17 that beat the Raiders up there in Townsville last week. So good to see that they can get the same side running around. Jake Clifford and Tom Dearden in the halves, they've been playing some pretty, well, they did on the weekend anyway, some pretty good footy. Jeremiah Nanai on the bench. He played a good game last week as well. So, look, that win would have given the Cowboys a little bit of confidence. The Panthers, they do have as I said, a few players out of this game. And though they do get Nathan Cleary back. So, that is a big in for them. So, it is a different looking Penrith side to what we are used to have seen, but I don't think they will lose 4 games in a row. The Cowboys have been struggling this year, but hey, also the Panthers have been struggling as well. Even though you think that every game that people play against the Panthers, they step it up and want to beat the Premiers. So, Ella and I... Ella,
we're both going for Panthers this time.
Yes, we are. We are both going for the Panthers. I just can't see them losing 4 games in a row. So I think they'll get back into their winning ways. Look, I think even though the Cowboys beat them last year at Penrith, so that might have been through State of Origin time. But yeah, we're both going Penrith on that one. The second game on Friday night, this should be a cracker of a game, this one. This is the old Book of Feuds game. It is the Rabbitohs taking on the Roosters, 8 p.m. at Accor Stadium. There should be a pretty decent crowd there, I think. I think it's the Rabbitohs' second home game of the season. They played Penrith there and beat them there a couple of weeks ago now, I think it was. Or last week, I think it was, actually. Let's go to the stats on that one. I think it was last week. Yes, it was last week because I tipped the Panthers and so did you, I think. And we both missed out on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they beat the Panthers 28 points to 18. The Roosters, they had that fantastic win against the Panthers a few weeks ago now, but have had back-to-back losses against the Warriors and Titans. For the Rabbitohs, big news for you Rabbitohs fans. Latrell Mitchell is back, but he is not in the fullback position. He is in the number 3 jersey for the Rabbitohs. Jai Gray, the ever-reliable Jai Gray, pocket rocket, keeps his fullback spot there. So, but it is great to see Latrell Mitchell back in the NRL. Latrell and Jack Whitener looks like a pretty handy centre combination. So, some great news there. Unfortunately, Alex Johnston is out again due to a rib injury. Isaiah Tass goes out to the wing to replace him. Talis Duncan has moved to the bench. For the Roosters, Connor Watson and Foketi are suspended. They're both back on deck. So Zach Doc Clay goes to the bench and Hugo Savala makes way. Lindsay Collins has been named to start at prop with Spencer Leniu moving to the bench. So a little bit of a change there. Victor Radley's got a cheekbone injury, so Nat Butcher takes over at lock for the Roosters. Now, as I said, the Roosters' last couple of losses, the Rabbitohs beat the Panthers and then went down to the Sharks. Last year, it was both wins to the Roosters, but they are completely different sides. I think the Rabbitohs are the bit of the form team at the moment out of these two, but this should be a big game, the Book of Feuds game. These two teams hate each other. Ella, who are you going for?
I'm going for the Rabbitohs.
Yeah, I'm going to go for the Rabbitohs as well. I just think that they are playing better football at the moment than the Roosters, and confidence will be high, especially after that win against the Panthers last week. Now, the next game on Saturday that kicks off the 3 games on Saturday.
An Eels game.
Yes, an Eels game. So straight away, I know who you're going to go for.
Dragons.
Okay, so there's your tip for this game. Now, a few changes. I won't have to go back to you and ask you a tip because
I already said it.
That's right.
Because I'm never tipping Eels.
Okay, fair enough. Look, the Clint Gutherson, he returns back to CommBank Stadium in opposition colours. Zach Lomax is playing against his old club for the first time, so an interesting storyline there. Still no Mitchell Moses for Parramatta, but the big news is Riley Smith has got the starting gig for the Eels, so he is the number 9. Dylan Walker, new mid-season signing, gets the number 14 jersey, and Luca Moretti makes his return to the side as well. It'll be his first game of the season, having overcome an Achilles injury. So, unfortunately, Charlie Geimer drops out. So, great news for Riley Smith. He is back he's starting the game, which is great news. I know many Para fans have been calling for that. Bailey Simonson is named among the reserves. So he's played 2 games in New South Wales Cup, so keep an eye out. Maybe there might be some late week changes, but we'll just have to wait and see. So there is something that Coach Jason Riles has had to do to make some changes. The backline is the same as last week. Joe Offahengawi gets that starting forward spot, which he did on Sunday in his 200th game, with Jack Williams being out. So a few different changes for the Dragons. Emre Gula has got a 3-game suspension. Toby Couchman joins the starting side, and alongside David Clemmer, who plays his 2nd game for the Red V, Blake Laurie has been added to the bench. So just a few little changes there. Look, this should be an interesting game. Look, Dragons got their first win of the season last week against the Melbourne Storm at home. Last year, this game was 44 points to 40 at CommBank Stadium. It was a really high-scoring affair. The Dragons nearly got that one done, but I think that loss last year probably cruelled their finals chances, that game against Parramatta. But look, they are completely different sides. This is going to be really interesting. The Eels still searching for their first win of the season. The Dragons, as I said, going for their second win of the season. I do think Parramatta can win this game.
Are you sure about that?
I'm not 100% sure. I would not put the house on it, but I think they can. I think the injection of Dylan Walker onto the bench will be an interesting one when he comes on. I like Riley Smith at starting hooker, so I think this will be a cracker of a game. There could be a lot of points if the weather holds up as well, so that's who I'm going for. The second game on Saturday is a all-Queensland affair. The Gold Coast Titans, who have been playing some really good footy of late, got some pretty good wins over the Roosters, and also last week against the... and then the week before against the Newcastle Knights up there on the Gold Coast. So they're two wins from their last two. The Dolphins, they are yet to win a game. They are in a 16th spot at the moment, having not won a game. They are just above Parramatta. The Titans are in 5th spot. They are playing some good footy at the moment, and it's good to see that Tino Fa'asuamaleaui is one of the better prop row forwards in the game at the moment after that knee injury as well. So, Jamin Jolliffe is back after 2 games out with a calf injury. And good news for a debutant for the Gold Coast Titans. Sean Mullany joins the bench as well. So, unfortunately, Sam Verrills has got a hip injury, so Chris Randall will start at hooker. For the Dolphins, just the one change. Tom Gilbert has been suspended. Max Plath is moving from the second row to lock to cover for him. Connolly Limu returns from an eye socket injury in the number 12 jersey. So Sean O'Sullivan is again the 18th man. Look, the Dolphins, they'll be desperate to get a win in this game. Look, they had patches, I thought, against Brisbane last week, but they just could not get the job done. Herbie Farnworth up against Katoni Staggs was a good battle there, and as I said, they showed glimpses, but they need to find a way, I think, to get Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow back into the game and involved in the game. He is the strike weapon for this side. But you can't always rely on him to provide that one. But the Gold Coast Titans, as I said, they've got a winning formula at the moment. Des has got them going well back at home. Ella, who are you tipping in this one?
I'm going for the Titans in this one.
Yes, I am going for the Titans as well.
All of our tips have mostly been the same, except for the first game and the Para game.
Yeah, I think we've only got 2 different this week, so which is a little bit different. So
yeah,
I think our last 3 games are all the same, I think. But
so I'm going to say our tips for the last 3 games, I guess.
Okay, yeah, you can do that one. The next game on Super Saturday is the Broncos taking on the West Tigers at Suncorp Stadium. Now, this should be a really interesting game. 2 sides, I guess, in a little bit of form. Probably more the Tigers, I thought, at this point. But, look, the Broncos, they've only had the 1 loss, I think, through this season. Jordan Ricky is suspended for them. Brendan Piakura moves into the starting side, and Jaden Hunt joins the bench for his first NRL game of the season. Latu Fainu, he takes over a halfback. Jerome Luai was handed a 1-game suspension for a careless high tackle against the Warriors. Adam Dewey, now he did not play last week. He suffered a groin strain in the warm-up last week, but has been named to play. So Jack Bird, he goes back to the bench. So a few changes there. The key one for them is Jerome Luai. So that combination of Lachlan Galvin and Jerome Luai, that won't be happening. So a a very big loss for the Tigers. The last couple of games for both of these sides, as I said, the Broncos, they have had a couple of wins back to back. They lost to the Raiders down there in Canberra. The Tigers, they had a 2-point loss to the Warriors, a game they probably should have won, but unfortunately didn't. But then they had 2 good wins against the Dolphins and the Eels, 2 struggling sides at the moment in this competition. Ella, who are we tipping in this one?
We are going for the Broncos in this one.
Yeah, it'd be probably too tough, I think, for the Tigers.
Probably.
Up in Brisbane, without Jerome Luai, their best player. They are massive outsiders, and I forgot to mention too that the West Tigers are in their common position of 9th place on the ladder. Sunday action kicks off again at Brookvale Oval, 4 Pines Park, as it is called now, 2nd versus 4th. The Sea Eagles taking on the Melbourne Storm, which should be a cracking game. Now, obviously, the big news for the Manly Sea Eagles is Tom Trbojevic is out with that knee injury. Lehigh Hopewadi slides to fullback, as he did in round 3 as well. So, look, a good replacement, you could say. A very talented player, Lehigh Hopewadi, but he is no Tom Trbojevic. Josh Aloiai, he's expected to miss a week with a shoulder injury. So Nathan Brown, he starts at prop. Now for Melbourne, Jerome Hughes is listed amongst the reserves. He had a hand injury, so maybe he may play. Just have to wait and see. He's been named in jumper number 22. Tyron Wishart, Mr. Reliable, who could play probably any position in a rugby league side. He will again call the shots if Jerome Hughes does not play this week. Look, the Melbourne Storm, they don't tend to lose 2 games in a row. They went down last week to the Dragons, as I said, at Cogra. But the Manly Sea Eagles, they are a different side at 4 Pines Park, Brookvale Oval, as I always call it. Probably won't call it 4 Pines, but I call it Brookvale. They have had 2 big wins, so this is their 3rd home game in a row. So always crucial in a competition to win your home games. Obviously, they beat the Eels 26 points to 12 last week, and before that, they smashed the Raiders 40 points to 12. So, look, I think this one it's going to be probably the match of the round. I think 2nd versus 4th. Melbourne Storm are going into this game as favourites. Not having Tom Trbojevic is a big loss for Manly, although they got the job done last week against Parramatta, but look, hey, pretty much any side could at the moment, but Tom only played half the game. Ella, who are we tipping in this one?
We are going for the Storm.
The Melbourne Storm, yeah, I think, as I said,
Melbourne Storm.
They don't tend to lose back-to-back games, so I think they'll get back in that winner's circle. The Bulldogs take on the Knights at Accor Stadium, 6:15 on Sunday. First place, the Bulldogs, at the moment in this competition. The Knights had the bye last week, so they've had a week off and be preparing for this game. Satili Tupanua for the Bulldogs is serving a suspension. Curtis Moran goes onto the bench. Look, Jacob Kiraz, he's listed amongst the reserves. He's had a hip injury, so he's kept him out of the side. And only the one change to the Newcastle side that went down to the Titans a couple of weeks ago. Leo Thompson returns from a knee injury, so Brodie Jones goes to 18th man. So a good in for Newcastle. But the Bulldogs, they are playing some really good footy at the moment. They are pretty defensive sound. They know what they're doing. Stephen Crichton is leading the way. Jacob Preston in the second row. He is pushing for an origin spot. Also, Bailey Hayward and Toby Sexton are getting that good combination together. And as always, Stephen Crichton is leading the side around. Don't forget, too, this is still a team without Matt Burton and Viliami Kikau. Look, for Newcastle to win, the game will be on the shoulders, I guess, of Kalen Ponga, Fletcher Sharp and Jack Cogger in the halves, but more so Kalen Ponga. The forwards will have to go forward to give the backs the room, as in any rugby league game, but the return of Leo Thompson will help that one happen. Ashley Klein is the referee in this game, the last game of the round. Ella, who are we tipping in this one?
We are going for the Bulldogs in this one.
Yeah, look, if they win this game, this will be their fifth win in a row. Last week they had their fourth win in a row, and that was the first time since 1993 that they have achieved that. So 5 wins in a row to start off the season. They are the only undefeated side in the competition. So
That's good for 5 wins.
it's amazing in the NRL to have 5 wins. They've beaten the Dragons, Titans, Eels and Sharks at the moment. So 2 form sides of the competition at the moment, the Titans and the Sharks. The Eels and Dragons, the Dragons got their first win last week and the Eels are struggling. The Knights have played the Titans, Dolphins and Tigers. So they start off the year with 2 wins in a row, went down to the Titans and have had the bye. So, look, that might hinder Newcastle having a week off, but Bulldogs will keep on that roll, maybe, hopefully, and then we'll get a tip right. And the New Zealand Warriors have the bye on the weekend. So they will have the weekend off, and they get a guaranteed 2 points. So, going through the tips here.
Let me just get my tips up again.
Okay, so Raiders and Sharks.
I went the Sharks.
I think I went Canberra, so we've got one different there. Panthers and Cowboys, we both went Panthers. Rabbitohs and Roosters, we both went Rabbitohs. Parramatta and Dragons.
I went Dragons.
I went Parramatta. So
of course.
That one's different there. We both went the Titans to get the job done over the Dolphins. We both went the Broncos to beat the Tigers. And we both went the Storm to beat the Sea Eagles. And the Bulldogs to beat the Knights. So, look, good luck in the tipping.
Yes.
And if you're in the Paracave podcast tipping competition, good luck. And I will post the results of round number 5 on Monday, so stay tuned to the Instagram page for that one. Once again, the Paracave podcast tipping competition brought to you by Assure Strata Reports on Instagram, so please give them a follow if you are not already, and also Buddy Oldman Masters Boxer, okay, give him a follow on Facebook. Thank you very much for listening. Enjoy your footy over the weekend and may your team win.
Bye.
And go Para.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Paracave Podcast. See you next time.